Hello, chat. We're getting started very soon here.
Hey, Mike.
Yo.
You sure tackled that Mount Rushmore really rapid fire there on the dump truck today.
Oh, yeah, I took care of it for you.
Yeah.
You don't see, please. What's wrong? I said crystal for you.
I know. I just think that proved maybe that don't protest too much. I don't know. You seem pretty prepared for that one.
Like, Zaldov protest, but like, we know that how he feels about, like, what's her name? The mouse gadget and stuff,
yeah.
right? Yeah. He's an ally.
I think there's more levels to Mike than he's letting on.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, I think Mike fully gets it. Dan Reichert's never going to get it. That's
No.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, Dan's confused.
At least Dan's just like, yeah, whatever, you have your phone over there.
Exactly. Right. He's just like, oh, I have no comment on this. But yeah, okay, fair enough.
Rouge.
Poggers.
Boobs are poggers. Okay.
Do you really want to do?
I guess I'll just record on my side and send it over to that goddamn heathen.
Yeah, right.
It's probably just playing Drain's Dogma too right now.
Yeah, probably. Computer can't handle both. It's trying to load this up right now. It's breaking. All right, I'm gonna tweet, and then I think I'm pretty much good over here.
Yeah. Lessons are coming off. These lessons are so reflective.
Well.
Here he is.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Now, Mike likes that song independent of watching Peacemaker. He's never watched Peacemaker.
Well,
Might
I've seen
never
the intro.
watch it.
That's why I know about it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Sorry, y'all. I forgot.
Yeah, it happens.
Happens.
I was
It's all
playing
right.
that game.
Yeah, me know.
Wouldn't have guessed.
It's okay. Nobody uses
It's okay.
it. Nobody watches this shit. Who watches it?
Nice.
Do you really want to taste that? Going up my spine.
Test.
Penny, I'm losing ground.
All right, I'm ready.
Jesus Christ.
I'm ready to start.
I'm only gonna stop playing with my chips when you tell me I have to.
Stop right now.
Okay.
Oh, she has
Oh
pretty
my
upset
God.
about.
Yeah, they're just
They're
gonna. They're not
like
gonna make the
Peacemaker.
playoffs. God damn it. This
Well.
fucking sucks.
It's all right, buddy. We'll have our own playoffs
All
together.
right. That sounds nice. I will do what I do every year around this time. Actually, it's much earlier in the season. Normally, I will just get and fake up playoffs in the latest NHL game with the Red Wings actually in there. So that's how I cope. I
you
have tweeted. I've done everything else. I haven't tested the music. Let's do that. Good thing I did. 'Cause it's not loud enough for you, not loud enough for them. But now that is fixed. You guys should have heard that.
Yeah. But the neighbor dog bark. Penny, it's okay.
Soundboard.
No.
It's okay, Penny.
All right.
Calm down.
Once
please.
Penny's ready to rock and roll, we'll get started.
right, and they indicted me.
Penny is Trump.
Hey,
Hi,
now.
doggy.
Jesus.
Hi, doggy.
Hi, doggy.
You good, Penny?
I'm fed up with this world.
I fed
All right.
up
Yeah,
with
everyone betrayed me.
war.
I'm fed up with this world. I think we're good.
Okay, cool. You guys saw
I don't know, man.
As good as it gets.
Brett Sugarmaker said he always wanted to be on Jeopardy, so I'm going to ask him to be on Game Mess Jeopardy.
Wow.
Oh,
there you go.
that's what that was about.
Yes, he on the podcast yesterday or
Okay.
today, whatever it was. All right, boys, I think I'm ready to count us in. Mike, are you ready?
I was born ready. I've been here since forever.
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Christian.
let's stop keeping Christian waiting.
Uh-huh. I know, right? We're so rude. In 5, 4, 3. The internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. With me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, we have GTA 6 falling behind schedule, Gearbox getting sold again, and a white all-digital Xbox, because who gives a fuck. We got plenty to talk about, actually. There's a whole bunch of news. We'll get through it, actually, relatively quickly, and if you want to talk about it more, you let us know with a super chat or something. But first, Mike, how are you doing?
Doing good. I'm excited. Our game today is we're going to do the Mount Rushmore of Capcom games inspired by the recent release of Dragon's Dogma 2. I think that's going to be fun, so I am looking forward to that.
Me too.
Also,
yeah, that was a good idea, Mike. I'm like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
genius.
Yeah, genius. That's what I was trying to say without saying it.
Hero, maybe.
It's yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll get to that in the second half of the show. But yeah, I mean, hey, we are pretty well removed from PAX now. It does feel like a long time ago, and yet I'm like, oh, I never really got a chance to recover because we worked all through the weekend. So looking forward to this weekend very much.
Yeah, you're right. It has been kind of nonstop. I got tortured in an MRI machine yesterday. Yep. I'm definitely looking forward to taking some time to relax a bit.
Yeah, that's the plan. I'll take some time to relax, play some games, get ready for the eclipse, because that's happening the following weekend. It'll happen on the Monday after
we have
that.
An eclipse related super chat later.
Oh, okay, fun. Yeah.
Answer.
So we're gonna make a big grocery run. Apparently, like the city is like warning everybody in town how crazy it's gonna be. I don't know. We'll see.
Well. So now you all come crawling to Cleveland. Huh?
come crawling to Avon, Ohio, apparently. Yeah, it's gonna be wild out there, but we're gonna get ready for it, and then I'm going to play a bunch more Dragon's Dogma 2, because that's a fun video game.
I've had this very stupid idea stuck in my head. I can't get rid of it. No one steal this. But I think if I ever had to make a fictional world, I think it would just be a world where Ohio is the only landmass in the world. And it's just Ohio. It's planet Ohio. I don't know what it would be beyond that.
You're worried someone was gonna steal this?
Yeah. Oops, all Ohio, perhaps I'd call it.
All right, well, that's pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot.
It'd probably be like an Earthbound or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like
I think that sounds cool, Mike. I think that's a good idea.
A spiritual successor to Earthbound.
Is this one of your jokes that's just a lie again?
No, I actually think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
I agree. It sounds fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The big plot twist, the post-credit scene, is that Argentina pops up from the water.
Wow.
So it's just those two.
Wow, planting seeds. Oh man, never saw it coming. All right. Hey, before we get into this show, let's tell you what's going on here. You can get more from Mike and me by joining the Discord at GameMess.net. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening, and hit that like button on YouTube. It does help people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you could drop a super chat during the program. We'll get to all of those before the end. You could do that here on YouTube. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. I did see Carlos at PAX at the bar that we were hanging out with, and we were busy. I walked past him, like, okay, I'm gonna go find him and tell him and say hi and see if he wants me to stop using the music. And then I went to go find him, and he was gone. So missed him.
It.
Ships in the
Elusive.
night. Thanks to One Up versus CPU for our artwork. You can get more from them over at oneupversuscpu.com.
Yes, what if he say he doesn't want you to use it anymore? It'd be fucked. Don't ask him.
Well, listen, that was the universe telling me not to ask him by making him disappear. So we're good. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to the mods, and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you access to the private channels in our Discord, the monthly Q&A, participation in our monthly Game Club discussions, 1 month early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. I can't record Columbros tonight because I forgot to watch it. So there you go.
Well, that's a good excuse. Don't worry.
Pretty good excuse.
We'll do that next week.
Big topics.
We're tired.
Also tired, yes. Yeah, exactly. Let's sleep instead. Big topics, plenty to talk about. Let's start here. GTA 6 may fall behind schedule. I mean, yeah, it's GTA.
Sure.
It's 2024. All games are falling behind schedule when they're that big. It's going to be the biggest goddamn game ever made when it comes out. They're going to take more time than they originally thought they were going to take. This part of this is apparently Rockstar management wants people to return to the office full time, and people are like, I might quit instead. And so that's causing some tension as well.
Yeah, wouldn't that be more disruptive? Wouldn't changing the way everyone's been working be a disruption? I don't understand how
that is the argument that the people who are being disrupted are making. They're saying exactly that. So yeah, I would think so. But you know, whatever. Whether they're in the office, whether they're working remote, whether it's hybrid, whether they do what they're doing now, whether they change it, no matter what, this game is going to be so big and so complicated that it's going to require extra time. It's already sort of slipped out of what they originally thought based on their previous guidance numbers for their fiscal year coming up. So now it's like, okay, it's not going to be any time before, April 2025. And now that seems unlikely. And they are looking at the possibility of 2026. What else is there to say other than they're going to take the time they need because this game can't be messed up when it launches, right?
No, it cannot. Yeah, that would be that would be so rough for all of Take-Two. It'd be kind of rough for the gaming industry. As stupid as it is, that we depend so much on this one game for growth. We do. So yeah, you absolutely can't risk a mediocre launch on this one. It has to come out and be firing on all cylinders right away.
Some publishers question why they support Xbox as sales flatline in Europe. This is something that Chris Dring was hearing from publishers when he was at GDC. And it seemed like mostly it was publishers that focus on Europe or have big games that do well in Europe on other platforms. They were like, hey, we have PC, we have PS5, these things are doing great. And then these games aren't selling on Xbox. So why do we even bother? That was the sentiment. I mean, another thing where it's like, yeah, that sounds right to me now these days. A part of that's just got to be people aren't excited to use their Xboxes because there haven't been great exclusives, right? To me, it seems it's that simple, but I don't know. Is there something else going on?
I mean, that's part of it. I don't know. Xbox has been in a weird place for a while now. Phil Spencer did that interview with Polygon a bit ago, kind of bemoaning the lack of growth. And, it was kind of a pessimistic tone from Phil Spencer again. So it is kind of like, man, what is going on over there? I'm asking this as a lean question. I really don't know. I think maybe the answer probably is no. But was Game Pass a mistake? Did this ultimately hurt Xbox in some way?
I don't know, because what was the alternative to? Because they could have gone out and got a bunch more exclusives by paying money and paying to keep other games off of other platforms. But when they did that, that was a huge thing. That was a huge deal, and people hated that. When they did that with Tomb Raider, that backfired on them. And I didn't see that changing. If they just kept doing that, things would have got better. It's like, no, they would have always been, there would have been a lot of players on PC and PlayStation that resented Microsoft for doing that. So they were kind of in a rock and a hard place where I don't think there was some great answer. And I think Game Pass was at least an idea that could have disrupted the industry. It just feels like it's going to take a lot longer for that to do what it's supposed to do, if it ever will, which doesn't seem like a guarantee. I guess that was another thing Dring said is Microsoft is a little bit less emphasizing of Game Pass right now. It's like, well, then what the hell? What's the future?
Right.
Then?
I mean, because that was kind of the whole thing, right?
Right. Well, I think they've looked and seen it can only grow so much on console, and it's like, okay, so we'll grow it elsewhere. Well, yeah, it's growing fast on PC because there's a lot less people using it on PC. That's a Steam-based platform. But then, okay, then where does it grow next? Yeah, on phones, maybe on TVs. Maybe that doesn't seem like it's really going to catch on, though, for quite some time. So, yeah, I think they're looking at the numbers to be like, this thing is going to be stuck around at most 40 million subscribers, and getting over that hump of getting it to a point where it can grow fast from that point is a challenge that they have yet to figure out how to solve. So, yeah, maybe they couldn't have predicted that. So, but I think in that light, maybe Game Pass wasn't the best idea. But I don't know what the alternative.
I mean, they had to take a swing, and it obviously seemed like a good swing. And it is to be clear, Game Pass is great. It's good. I think everyone has Game Pass likes it, but has it helped Xbox's business? I mean, because we see where everybody is with streaming, right? Everybody pivoted to streaming, and it doesn't seem like it solved many problems over on the entertainment side. And I guess, a lot of that is carrying over a bit on the gaming side as well, at least when it pertains to Xbox and Game Pass.
It definitely is not some silver bullet. I think that's what you've learned from all these different companies trying this. Some are doing better than others. It seems like, Disney Plus, that is growing. It's growing fast enough that its shareholders are pretty happy with it, things like that. But, yeah, I think that being the answer to all their problems, and once you have one of these that has a certain number of subscribers, it's like, okay, well, that's that. Now we've solved our problems. It's like, no, clearly that's not how it's going to work. Let's hit through some of these. I have a bigger meta conversation I want to have with you in the news. I think so.
Okay.
Just let's. There's an all white, all digital Xbox. They are. It's kind of something that we've had rumored for a while now. But it's actually going to happen. Seems like it's going to happen this summer based on the leaks. and then they might have some other hardware surprises later this year. I'm not going to shell out for what is already the Xbox Series X that I have. Exactly the same thing, just because it's all digital. Even if it has more storage, that's not really necessary for me. I wonder, like, what is the point of this thing? Because apparently they're going to also lower the price on it, which of course they have to, because it has fewer features, right? It doesn't have a disk drive. I don't know. This just seems especially unexciting to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, like, I mean, is the point here to phase out the Series S, which would be a little bit surprising?
No, because this is not going to be $300, right? This is going to be like $450 probably.
So yeah, I guess I just don't know if like the answer to Microsoft's problems is a third tier with this thing. So
I mean, it's kind of like a fourth tier, right? Because they also have that Xbox Series S with more storage.
Oh, right.
So,
you're right. Yeah, so it's getting a little confusing already. I don't know. Like, new hardware is so weird. There were reports about the PlayStation 5 Pro being shown to developers at Gamescom, and like maybe the prevailing thought from them was, "What is this? What's the point of this?"
Yes, exactly. That's right. We're in a weird situation with a lot of this stuff, where I think developers are kind of looking around, being like, "Huh, I don't know if we need this." And then I think for the Xbox Series X All Digital Edition, I don't know how they position that in the market. I think that's where I'm at. I get kind of where the PS5 Pro fits, where it's like, hey, it's more powerful, and so we could charge more for it. And the freaks out there that like buy anything we put out are going to want that. I don't know. The same doesn't necessarily apply to something that's like we're removing the disk drive, and otherwise it's the same thing, even if it has more storage. I don't think the freaks show up for something like that. And I count myself among the freaks there. It's a term of endearment.
No, I don't. It definitely doesn't seem like it's for something that anyone who already has an Xbox Series X. I guess it's got to be for new adopters, which, to be clear, is what they need. They need more new adopters of the Xbox Series ecosystem. So I guess I get it from that sense. We have to have some kind of new SKU that's maybe going to appeal to more people. And I don't know, maybe... I don't like the thing about being like the all digital version is that all that really means is that you're losing a feature and it's a bit cheaper. It's not necessarily an exciting thing, right?
Right.
It's a compromise, really.
Yes.
And it's a compromise a lot of people are happy to make because they're like, yeah, I'm not buying physical media anymore anyway, so that's fine. But again, it's not something that's gonna really get people running to the aisles.
Yeah, and I suppose it's like it looks shiny and new on store shelves over the holidays, but I don't know how much that moves the needle these days. Toys for Bob, that game that they're making with Microsoft after leaving Microsoft and getting their independence, turns out it is very likely Spyro. And the Canadian guy A, which I think is his name, is a YouTuber who does a lot of Spyro and Crash content. Got this information, said they're referring to it as Spyro 4.
Fantastic. I haven't heard this. That is exactly what they should do. Toys for Bob
thought you would feel that way. That's how I feel as well. I think if you're going to do something that's an existing property that isn't, I don't think they could have done Banjo-Kazooie. They probably have someone else working on that. This is where they should be working. Spyro 4 is a great idea.
Right. They did the Spyro remake trilogy, and that was fantastic. Yep. And then they did an incredible job with Crash 4. They may be even better suited for Spyro 4. And Spyro's fun because Spyro was always a bit more of the open one. It's closer to Mario 64 than Crash is, for sure. I think that a modern Spyro game could absolutely kill. And I've been saying this, what Xbox needs is more games that appeal to, not only a younger audience, but can appeal to a younger audience. So I think that's a home run to me. That is, I think that's the smartest thing Xbox has done in a while. I still find it weird how they kind of sell Toys for Bob and then contract them to do this. I don't know why they're not just doing this as an Xbox studio, but whatever. That's the other new trend now, is everybody just selling off their studios, which is fantastic. Yeah,
I mean, speaking of that, I have this industry shakeups rundown here. Take-Two now owns Gearbox. Relic buys its way out of Sega. Nintendo ended the contracts of a bunch of testers at NOA, apparently primarily due to not having a lot of new games coming out to test in the first place. Okay. I mean, we'll start start with Take-Two buying Gearbox. That's another thing where it's okay, with all things kind of shaking out in the industry, that's another one. It's like that. Embracer was looking to sell Gearbox. Take-Two can't afford Gearbox to go someplace where that would cause trouble for them to put out more Borderlands games. Of course, they just shelled out the $460 million in stock. to pick them up so they can keep making Borderlands games. And making Borderlands games is what they've confirmed they're doing. They're making a sequel, likely Borderlands 4. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is also apparently on the docket for them to do. And those games have been doing better and better. Despite it's like I think they're in that situation where people in our like sphere talk about them a little bit less. I think with the general audience, they are like they're more popular than ever. So them returning to that makes a ton of sense. And Take-Two just can't afford not to have that available to them. So yeah, not surprised that happened.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. I think it's gonna be good for Take-Two and for Gearbox. Did you see like the key art image of Take-Two? Like they had like. Yeah, a picture for Borderlands, but also of Duke Nukem. I'm like, really? Are you really gonna evoke Duke Nukem here? Yes, Gearbox owns Duke Nukem right now.
And I think Randy Pitchford's proud of Duke Nukem. Yeah, I think he's at least proud of owning Duke Nukem.
I think that if a new Duke Nukem game came out, no matter what direction it went in, it would start a culture war. Like, because they either like just really make a Duke Nukem game, and that's gonna be a problem one way, or they make like the kind of like self-aware Duke Nukem game, and that's also going to be a problem to some people.
Right.
So let's just not touch that character.
Duke Nukem as a BoJack Horseman video game sort of thing would be fantastic. But
be great.
But you're right. Like people would like, oh, what he has feelings now, like that friggin' guy.
That it was wrong of Duke Nukem to like only care about tits and shooting pigs.
Look, I didn't play the video game, but I saw that he has feelings about how what he did before was bad, and that's not the one I played.
Right. So yeah, that would be a whole
Sweet
thing.
Baby worked on this.
It just this whole thing just really weirds me out, and I know that execs don't know what's going on, but to just see it so suddenly shift from a few years ago where it was just buy, acquire, to just immediately sell or close.
Yep.
Like, gosh, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying that these people are in charge and they cannot, see further than the next quarter. And that's just where we're at. That's why we are here. Yeah, okay, so a couple other headlines. Developers also don't know why they need a PS5 Pro. We talked a little bit about that. Yes. Marvel Rivals got confirmed.
Yeah, NetEase is making their own Overwatch 66 again. Third person. I don't
with
know.
Marvel,
like
with Marvel Heroes. Like, yeah, that's
it's Marvel
the thing.
Heroes.
Yeah, it's third person.
Fine, but you know what? Part of like superhero fatigue is really just that I see these characters and I have a hard time feeling things anymore.
Yeah.
And in most cases, sometimes that's different. Like like X-Men 97, the right presentation. I'm like, yeah, that actually looks interesting. But another mashup thing, and here we go.
I mean, let's be clear. If this game would have hit in 2015,
sure.
Like if it would have hit like a year after Overwatch, like when that what was that
2017?
20 so 2017.
Overwatch was 2016.
Okay, so like what was we got that one from the team that made that God MOBA game? Paladins, right. If instead of Paladins we would have got this game at that time, I think this would have done pretty well. Now it just feels like so outdated on both what it's copying in terms of the gameplay style and the Marvel Heroes being sort of out of fashion for the moment. I don't know. I it's very easy to be negative. It's very easy to be dismissive of this game. I'll play it. We'll see. If it's fun, I might play it some more. I'm just not buzzing for it in any real way.
No, I'm like NetEase free to play. That makes me skeptical in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Also, I mean, we'll see. Like, because there's a part of me that misses Overwatch for sure, but I just don't know some I really don't know some other company just gonna come and make their own Overwatch. I don't know. So many weird accidents have to happen for Overwatch to be what it was that I think it's pretty hard to just replicate that.
And the game looks pretty, like the Marvels, the character designs, they're cool. So.
Yeah, the character designs look better than like something out of the Marvel's Avengers game from Square. For sure.
For sure,
yeah. Like the characters look like they were actually designed by artists. And I think, Iron Man doing an attack just like Farah. You know what? I thought that looked pretty cool.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
and I
why
like
not?
that there were some deeper pools, and that's nice. Some characters I even recognize, and I'm like, oh, these actually look cool. I would like to learn more about them. So
right.
Sure.
There's a Lady Galactus that could step on all of us at once. That's nice.
Let's fucking go, finally.
Yeah.
God damn it.
So, I'll give it a shot, but it's hard to I wouldn't bet on it.
Right. And then the one I want to talk about before we talk about the kind of this bigger story, Resident Evil 9 could be open world. I am at a point where Capcom kind of gets a chance to do what they want. I brought this up when we first talked about it. I think Dan said something similar when I brought it up on the Bombcast. Resident Evil changes up, every handful of games, they change up the formula, and that has only benefited the series. I think the switch from 3 to 4 was right. I think the switch from 6 to 7 was very much needed at that point. So, we got 7, 8 in that style, and then going to 9 and having to be open world. I also think, hey, you're not waiting for the next one to kind of be diminishing returns, kind of similar to what happened with God of War, right? They're going to do God of War 2018, then Ragnarok, and it's like, no, we're not going to do a third one that's going to be, people are like, yeah, but it's more of the same, and that's really bad this time. It's like, no, we're just going to change things up again. Here we are. They have Resident Evil 9. They have the Reach for the Moon engine that can do open world now that we've seen with Dragon's Dogma. Obviously, it needs some improvements, but they can do it. So that's what they're going to do with Resident Evil 9. I think, pretty excited for this, Mike. I don't blame anyone who is a traditionalist Resident Evil fan for being maybe hesitant, though.
They also making the Monster Hunter Wilds. That
right, but that one just makes perfect sense to me, right?
Like, sure, that's like just the most obvious thing in the world, of course.
Right.
Now, I'm saying
of course, Monster
hard to open world with all the
right, and apparently that so yes, that's a good point. Bring that up though. Is like they do these things in threes as well internally. That's what Dust Golem, the person who broke this rumor, said. So when they started making Dragon's Dogma 2, part of that was like, okay, that's going to be open world. And then the part of that technology will go into Monster Hunter, a Wild, and then also Resident Evil 9. And those would be the 3 games that we make in this style. And then from there, we could break it off and do like 3 more Resident Evil games or 2 more Resident Evil games based on that. But yes, that's what they're doing.
I mean, some of the word is like, what do we mean by open world here? Because like Resident Evil 8 is kind of a hub and spoke thing.
Right. So to me, that means more than that. And to me, that means something much closer to Dragon's Dogma 2. I think it's going to be open world in the way that Dragon's Dogma 2 is open world. Yes, I think that's what they're trying to say.
I would almost like it more if it was like a city open world thing. But
that's a great idea too, of course.
I think you're probably right. Again, like, yeah, I'll see what it is. I think I'm good with the main series doing that. And look, we're still going to get these remakes that are going to be these more like super polished, more linear things. And that might be more my style in the long run, but I guess I'm curious to see what the take here is. But absolutely, I'm glad they're not doing another Resident Evil Village. I liked Village. I think that kind of already ran through those ideas pretty well.
Yeah. We'll see. Again, it's Capcom. They're on a heater. I'm going to let them cook is where I'm at with Capcom these days.
And then cook with FMV.
Let them cook with FMV. That's right. Full meat video. All right. So, like, remember, like in 2012 and 2011, we were talking about like, oh my God, consoles are dead, and it's because of mobile games, and we're gonna go to free to play, and that's all anyone's gonna play, and it's gonna and developers are only gonna focus on that because it's such a big return on their investment, and we were worried about all these things, and people were freaking out, and it felt like it was kind of the end of the world, and the consoles came out and they did fine. Does part of you feel like, man, a lot of those concerns that people had back then about like the slippery slope arguments, like we're kind of there in a lot of ways with there's 5 games that people spend 60% of their total playtime on. Like 60% of all the games that are being played in a day are spent on these 5 games. And I don't know, are we going to be in this rut for a long time, or do you think there's a chance that we bounce out of it relatively quickly? Are we sort of at the end of gaming as we know it? Like, not to be, controversial.
That's definitely like the big fear, like the worst case scenario. I'd like to hope not. I think there are a lot of challenges, but so much of it is just people following one step and not thinking it out. Like everybody, like, well, we all need to make a big live service game. So everybody like bakes a bunch, and then some of them hit. And then those few that hit now take up, like you said, like 60% of all gaming. And, we have to support these games forever. Well, okay. But obviously these people are going to be less inclined to buy new games, right? Yes. Did anybody think about that? And it seems like the answer is sort of no. I think what's scaring me even more is the conversion of kind of younger audiences. And that goes a bit back to the mobile thing. Our kids these days, when they turn, 12 or 13, are as many of them asking to kind of, upgrade to big home consoles like they used to? Or are they just like, what are you talking about? I could already play all the games I want to on my iPad or on my home computer or on my phone. So like that's the thing that's maybe worrying me the most. There's a bunch of different challenges right now, and the fact that there's challenges isn't like this whole problem. I'm worried about the industry's current capabilities to rise to those challenges.
Yeah. Because the industry's always been, questionably risk averse. Like it's always been like, hey, when there is headwinds, we buckle down and maybe we do like stop making those kinds of games because we're afraid that they're not going to do well. And at this point, it feels like if they were to look at the data in front of them, you could see how some of these companies decide, well, making new games at all is kind of risky. And maybe we shouldn't be doing that at all. It's like, okay, how can that be the answer? But it's because that what you spelled it out in that interview with Phil Spencer. One of the things he said is Gen Z is guiding how they're deciding what they're going to do. And it's like, that's the reason they want to put Xbox games everywhere, is because what you said, they expect the game to be in front of them where they're at. And if it's not there, it's not like, well, then I got to go get the platform to play that. It's just dead to them. They don't even consider it as something they're going to do because it's like, hey, I have TikTok on my phone. I have Roblox on my phone. I have Minecraft. I have Call of Duty. I got Fortnite. I have all these things right here. And I can go from game to game to game, app to app to app, and hang out with my friends the entire time seamlessly. And if you are not part of that sort of flow, you are not even like in their consideration. So that's why Microsoft says, well, we have to be there. That's where we need to insert ourselves into that market. And okay, yeah, but there's also no guarantee that you're gonna be able to bring new stuff to them. They already. Here's what I'm worried about. It's like sports. At a certain point, we just stopped getting new sports. There was golf, baseball, soccer, hockey, football, and if you try to put out a new sport today, if you're not pickleball, like the first new sport in like 50 years that anyone's given a shit about, and it's like, that's only old people and like the people who have bad hips, you're fucked. And it's like, is that where video games are? Because right now, that's where it feels like video games are this very moment. And I've always been hopeful that games have been able to constantly innovate, and that's been their strength. But maybe that's just been a byproduct of it being a young industry.
I remember where it used to feel like, it'd be so fresh to get a new IP. Now, even just getting a sequel, a new release of some kind, feels fresh.
2 in a generation?
Like, oh, wow.
Are you kidding me? That's feasting.
Right. It's like, oh, wow. It's not just a new season of Fortnite or a new anime collab with some other free service game.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's for a long time, I think the state of video games was that it always changes. It's always a year from now, everyone's gonna feel different, and the hot thing is gonna be so much different than what was hot 2 years ago. And that's why, like in the shooter genre, we went from GoldenEye to Counter-Strike to Halo to Call of Duty to Fortnite to PUBG to all these different things, just bang bang extraction shooters. And eventually one of them just gets big enough that even like, okay, well, yeah, extraction shooters came by, and Fortnite's now still just even bigger than it's ever been. And it's like, is Fortnite just going to keep getting bigger and swallowing up the possibility space for something new to come along? Where I'm standing right now, it feels that way. I hope in 3 years we look back and we remember this conversation and we go, remember how worried we were? We were a bunch of dumb bitches for thinking that the games weren't going to bounce back. But where it stands right now, I'm more concerned than I have been in a very long time.
Right. And I know, I right. Seeing comments in the chat, I'm sure we're going to get more like, wow, you guys are being so pessimistic and so negative.
Right.
Probably. I hope so.
Yeah. I don't know, though.
But things there, like I said, there are a lot of different challenges happening right now. And so far, the solutions that I am seeing from leadership of just either laying people off or selling off studios, making fewer games, doing this and that, though they don't seem great. It doesn't seem like it's setting us up for the future. And again, like the things that we are depending on are like one big game, like Grand Theft Auto 6. Well, okay, that's going to come out. And then like, what do we do next year? Because nobody's going to be like, well, that's okay. Grand Theft Auto 6 came out. That'll hold us for the next 8 years. Of course not. So then what?
Right.
It's only going to make that money for one of the companies anyways.
Right. Yes.
I mean, the bit's going to go to to Xbox, the PlayStation, where that game's sold in Steam. But generally, it's not going to exactly get spread all over the entire industry like Pixie does.
Right. And, GTA 6 comes along, makes a lot of money, and they don't put out a new GTA for at least 10 years after that. I'm of the opinion they won't put out a new GTA like at least 15 years after that. Like, that's what we're looking at. Like, that's what we're looking down the barrel of. They've already been about that long since GTA 5 to now. Right. And that it might take that much longer for it to come out. It might be 15 years by the time it's all said and done between GTA 5 and GTA 6. And okay, so yeah, GTA 6 might come out and make a ton of money, but that's not some answer to what we're talking about here. The answer it continues to be, and this is what we always say when we have these conversations or conversations along these lines, that it will be the independent games stepping up more and more and more. But that's not the video game industry. That's I think that's where I'm at. The video game industry as we know it is just kind of fizzling out, and it's going to leave the remains that will be picked apart by a bunch of people who do this because they have a lot of great artistic ideas and they want to make games because they have these ideas and they have to get them out there. And thankfully they do have some platforms where they can succeed, but most independent games do not. The vast majority, it is like 98% go out and they do nothing, and the 2% break through. And I feel like that's not going to last forever either if there isn't this robust, wider industry sort of inspiring all these ideas. I don't know. It's very easy to be pessimistic right now, I guess is where I'm at.
And again, I'm saying like more chat, like, I don't know, like, why do you think everything has to rely on GTA 6? It's not what I think. It's not what Jeff thinks. I agree. There are tons of great video games coming out, but the way that the system is set up, and Phil Spencer said this in the interview with Polygon, is the only thing that matters is growth. And Phil Spencer saying there isn't growth right now, and there wasn't growth in a year last year where we had one of the best slates of video games ever. So what changes? And I guess like that's what I'm curious with people who maybe think we're being pessimistic, and I hope so. Like, does it just grow again suddenly because? Is there something on the horizon that is really shifting all of this? I would love to, I guess, understand what the big turning point is. Sometimes the market is actually just like that. Sometimes it really does just shift anyways. And I hope so. I guess there's no harm in being cautious about this and being a little bit worried about it.
Exactly. I think we're just trying to like hash it out. I've gone back and forth on like my on the pessimism optimism meter, and it's like just a little bit of a downside right now when I'm like really looking at all these numbers. I think Matt Piscatello put out his thing where it's like this year's going to be down about 2% to 10% at the worst case scenario, and that's a pretty big drop year to year. But we're not going to have stuff like Zelda, we're not going to have stuff like that Harry Potter games. So yeah, it's a tough comparison. The thing that really does get me though is the 60% of playtime spent on 5 different games. That's where it's like, if we are in that stagnation where the black hole sucks in everything, I don't know how big companies can continue to justify investment in new games. And they were already afraid of investing in new games because they were risky even before this was the case. That was happening in like 2014 and 15 and 16, before stuff like Fortnite was really taking off, even before GTA Online was the behemoth that it slowly became over those years. They were hesitant. I mean, Xbox, I think, was notorious for this at that time, where they're just like, hey, we are afraid to make new games because we see how much time you guys are spending on Destiny. But hey, yeah, we're going to try this Game Pass thing and see if that works. So now that we are living in the world where that worst case scenario of can you put out something and get attention, it has come true. I just think that these big companies are going to kind of go running.
And, I don't think video games are ever going to go away. Of course not. I just wonder just how much could it change? And maybe it's not going to change much at all.
Yeah.
And I see someone else saying, oh, we don't need growth. We need stability and revenue. We should just need stability and revenue. But again, like with this system where investors are involved, the only thing investors want to see 99% of the time is growth. And if there isn't, they're going to lose stock value. And when they lose stock value, they're going to lay people off and cancel projects.
Yeah. I mean, PlayStation's been growing. They just haven't been growing fast enough. They had to lay people off.
What's going on?
Right. And so they delayed people off because they weren't growing fast enough. yes, ideally we could be in a world where it's just, hey, you made as much money as last year. We'll employ the same number as last year. We'll take care of our employees. We don't live in that system. So that's where, that informs a lot of these concerns, because we know what these companies believe that they need to do to keep their shareholders happy. And we know that they're capable of panicking in major ways. And so I'm foreseeing that a little bit. I think we get to 2025, people will probably take a breath. That the Nintendo console will get announced. GTA will probably get a release date, a real release date. And then people start looking around and be like, okay, now we can start planning. We got to put our game out around GTA, whatever. We do have a bunch of games in the works, because we do make some games that make a lot of money. We're Sony, we're Microsoft, we're in that situation. And, if Nintendo puts out a console and it sells great, again, I'm going to feel pretty good myself.
Sure.
But just where it is today, if I was trying to advise one of these companies, I would hope I could find an argument to say make more games and that's the solution, but it feels more challenging than ever to say that, because there is no guarantee you're going to be able to get that attention that you need with Fortnite and all these games sucking up all the oxygen in the room. So, we'll keep an eye on it. This conversation will keep ongoing, especially throughout this year, when there will be fewer and fewer games released. Except, you know what? I'll reiterate, keep hearing Dragon Age is coming out this year. So if you're looking for something in the second half of the year, like, oh, there's nothing coming out, that's something. Get excited about that, I guess. So some good news to pin to the bottom of that. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we will make some decisions, including the Mount Rushmore of Capcom games.
So we read some super chats, baby.
That's right after this.
All right.
We can just go into it.
Yep,
All right.
I am ready. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Okay. And we're back. Mike, I think we got a handful of super chats. Thanks for everyone that sent those in. A lot of very generous super chats tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. First one here's from Radu Perigal Taganas. He says, had a recent windfall and thought I'd share the joy with my favorite dynamic duo. Question: what video game industry personality would make a good Columbo murderer? Sign your Columbo at Arms, Octo.
Peter Molyneux, 100%. Would make a great Columbo murderer. I think he'd be thinking he'd be able to outthink Columbo, and he'd get kind of nervous and make it overcomplicated. I think that would be a very interesting one.
Because it's got to be somebody with money.
Oh, yeah. Right. Randy Pitchford is a great one.
Yeah, that would be fit. Yeah, because the magician angle. I haven't seen the magician episode of Columbo yet. That is one.
I think I did watch that before. That was a good one.
Dan wants me to know that he took some kind of test at somebody on the Giant Bomb Reddit, pitting Super Nintendo versus N64 games. And yeah, I'm shocked that N64 won for him. What do you want?
Oh, Dan,
why are you making me report this, Dan?
Hey, Dan, tell him to save that, because we're going to talk about it on BCR tomorrow.
Go over it, he says. What do you mean go over it? I'm shocked you didn't pick any of the JRPGs.
So for people that are wondering, it's a like side-by-side comparison, like choosing an N64 game or a Super Nintendo game, and it's like Mario 64 or Super Mario World, and it does that for a bunch of different like challenges, a bunch of different comparisons, and I think it's like 24 on there. Do you know who made that? Joy Z in our Discord. Yeah, Joy Z made
Very
that.
Nice.
So we're going to talk about that on BCR tomorrow, I think. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if we can get the
Hey, look, Dan, I'll say this. When I saw this list, I was like, there's more good games on 64 than I thought. So there. Does that make you happy?
That makes me happy.
There you go.
It's just like, I hate my N64 catching strays. Darn it.
I'm like,
Dan's got an opinion. What am I supposed to do about that? I like my N64. Super Nintendo's better, though.
Get practicing that Jetsons NES game, Dan. We're going to be speedrunning that, apparently.
Hell yeah. I was excited when you guys started talking about that.
Yeah. Zagar Zero with their first super chat says, hello, beefy banner boys. My brother and I are driving to Cleveland to check out this Total Eclipse on April 8th. Our first time in Cleveland. Any tips on what to check out and where to eat downtown?
Go to the Flats.
Yeah, the Flats are back. The Flats, it's kind of a fun section of bars and restaurants right where the river there meets Lake Erie. There's very nice seafood restaurant there called Lindy's, an awesome brewery and restaurant called Collision Bend right there. There's a Margaritaville on East 4th Street, closer to like mid downtown, not too far from Progressive Field and where the Cavs play. There's Michael Simon's barbecue restaurant, Mabel's. I like that a lot. And across from that is another good brewery and restaurant called Butcher and the Brewer. They have an albino stout that is fantastic. The biggest brewery in the area, and it's also a good restaurant, is Great Lakes Brewery. That's over on the west side. You just have to cross a bridge from downtown.
It really is so nice there. I love Great Lakes Brewery.
And that is right by a cool barcade called 16-Bit with a bunch of free play machines and a lot of fun cocktails and drinks on tap and like pin bowling. Lots of fun stuff. So also on the west side, very good ice cream place called Mitchell's. They're very good. So I think west side where Great Lakes and 16-Bit are, and then the flats, those are kind of my favorite Cleveland spots in general. And, if you're looking for like touristy things that are fun to do, go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Mike's right. That's the stuff I would have said because he's the one that's shown me around. So, yes, agreed. Real quick, Dan's asking if I'm going to come tailgate with them in Philadelphia. Dan, I'm going to try to plan it. It would have to be on Saturday. It's going to be tough because that weekend, I didn't realize that was the weekend of the eclipse or leading into the eclipse because it's going to be a nightmare in town. So getting back into town, I'm worried about that. But I'm like, maybe Amtrak's probably going to be a nightmare. But I'm like, if I get a train back from Philadelphia around that time, that might be nice because then I could just watch WrestleMania on my phone as I'm coming back. So I'm going to look into it.
Or you could not go all the way to Philadelphia just to hang out in a parking garage or whatever. And you can watch WrestleMania with me.
I know, but Jason Fidel, he talks about all this food they're gonna make for the tailgate.
Make food.
Okay, listen, I might just go to Mike's.
I'm not trying to ruin your plan.
No, it's fine. It sounded so fun. Like they're going, it's tailgating in Philly too. It's like a thing. But I don't know. We'll see. It's probably not gonna work out now that I start thinking about how difficult that would be. So we'll see.
Next one here is from Ali Miracle. Says had a good interview for an internal position today and it went really well. Want to share the joy, and I'm napping because it's been a long week. Thanks for all you do, boys. Yes, boobs are poggers. Thank you, Ali Miracle. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ali Miracle.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good luck on that.
Glad that went well for you.
The Uncharted Wolf says, I have successfully crimed my 3DS.
Yes.
I've mostly been playing DS games, but I'm curious what else I can do in this thing. Any must-need applications?
H Shop. Get the H Shop. If you have the H Shop, you're good.
That's just what gets you everything?
H Shop is the E Shop. But it's
I thought the H might have stood for something else.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, no, I understand why you might think that, but no, it just means, I think it means hack shop. Yeah, there you go. And it has every game that was on the eShop, so you can just do that.
There you go. Oh, Grug says, so aside from DLCs like for Elden Ring and Final Fantasy 14, what releases are you most interested in for the rest of 2024? Hey, Jeff, is a Ridge Racer coming out this year?
Fuck no.
Okay, well, not that, but I am excited for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I have good hopes for that. Star Wars Outlaws, I hope is still also this year.
That is supposed to be this year, right?
I think so. I mean, it better be. I have it on my Fantasy Critics. So
that would be really nice. God, as soon as it slows down, Jedi Survivor. I'm going back to that.
Yeah,
people have been going back to that in the last couple of weeks, and everyone's like, you know what, this rules. And I'm like, I bet I'm gonna love that game. So, yeah.
Mina the Hollower also hopefully comes out this year.
That would be nice. Metroid Prime 4 that comes out. That'll help my fantasy draft.
Yeah, but that'll be next year with the Switch too.
Yeah, probably.
Sludge Reinhold says, "What's up, dogs? Hello, YouTube."
Name.
First super chat here. I never get to catch these live, so I figured since the stars have aligned, I drop a super chat to thank you for all you guys do. Keep up the good fight. Thank you so much, Sludge. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sludge Reinhold. I really like that name.
Andy Ford Prez with their 5th super chat says, do you guys see companies increasing investments in smaller games, especially after all the acquisitions? Expected more news about that. Also, Mikey, you have to show Penny or you look like a psychopath. I already showed Penny on the dump truck.
I just saw a sack of potatoes. I think he might be going insane, everybody.
Yeah. They should be investing in smaller games. I actually had a really nice conversation at PAX East with Larry Herb, Major Nelson, who's an advisor for a publisher called Midwest Games right now. They have lots of fun games. The one I really liked was called Duck Paradox. It's a roguelike where it's like you have to like shoot these ducks and you have to kind of navigate these like stages and stuff. But the gimmick is that it's like a twin stick shooter, but when you shoot a bullet, it will bounce off of walls forever until it hits an enemy or you, basically. So if your aim is bad, you kind of create your own bullet hell is the gimmick there.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's really neat. Yeah. And I absolutely think that these bigger publishers need to be doing more small games. Like EA had that half measure, right? Where they were doing things like Untangled or whatever, like, you know what, the thing that got them freaking It Takes Two, right? It Takes Two made all this money, and like, you know, these things are doing well, and then we don't really see much more of it for some reason.
Well, we do. They did it again with this is the problem with it. The other one was Immortals of Avium. So
yeah, but is that a small
You're
game?
right.
That's
How small
problem.
is that? Right. It was the same like EA Partners thing, but I guess it wasn't all that small. And the good thing with small games is if they do really well, you could make a sequel that's bigger. You could do it then. Like, so, you know,
in like a few years.
In a few years, yeah, in a few years, right? And so it's like, why not take a lot of smaller risks? And if people respond to one of them, make it bigger. And if
you
these
know what
things
games are going to be really big? Hades 2 and Haunted Chocolatier.
Right.
Those are going to be big games.
Massive. You know, Spoon Heaven. Going to be huge. Yes.
Yes,
So.
of course. If that comes out this year, I'll be looking forward to that. But
Yeah, of course.
It's insane that I'm not confident that game's coming out this year.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out last year. So, yeah.
What's the comment? Probably longer ago than that.
Oh boy. All right. More super chats?
One more here. Oyasumi Mech says, very happy to see Final Fantasy 9 representation in Final Fantasy 14 for the Dantro expansion and a possible remake on the horizon. I need more people to appreciate God, how I say this? Boomeshians. How do we ever read that word?
Burmeshians?
Burmeshians?
Burmeshians.
Rad people
Right.
for Final Fantasy 9.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about this in the news because we had so many different headlines. But yeah,
Well,
Final Fantasy 9 probably getting remade.
I kind of forced it into Nintendogs this week, so we talked about it there. But boy, I sure hope that is happening. Either way, though, we are getting Final Fantasy 9 stuff in Final Fantasy 14, so that alone is exciting. Final Fantasy 9 rules. It is the best. Hey, today was Kingdom Hearts anniversary, by the way. So don't say anything mean about Kingdom Hearts. Just one
I
day,
wouldn't.
please. I know why you always like to hurt me.
All right. Thank you for reading those super chats, Mike. Thank you, everybody who sent those in. We will get to the rest of them if you send any more before the end of the show. So feel free to do that. If there's something that we missed that you want to talk about, that's the best way to get us to talk about it. But first, let's take another break. When we come back, we will do that Mount Rushmore of Capcom games.
Penny out.
All right.
Cool. All right, let's look.
You saw a video of Shashi PB, and we delayed the release of Dawn Trail a week. So like
you can play Elden Ring.
You had to play Elden Ring.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
that was pretty cool.
Elden Ring. I think that he delayed it for him.
Yeah. No, you're right.
He wants to play Elden Ring.
Philadelphia.
So,
all right. Let's see here.
Oh man, an Elden Ring Final Fantasy 14 crossover. Oh, that would be so
return
cool.
Saturday. Oh no, and then return on Saturday night. Find trains. I think Amtrak goes through Philadelphia. That would make sense. Oh,
yeah.
Man. The problem is like
that would make sense.
the problem is it's like the train takes a long time. So I probably should just drive. I just don't want to drive it's a long drive. Pennsylvania is a stupid long state. Pennsylvania should be like a third the size that it is.
You really hate the idea of a night with Mike that much.
Jason Fidelli came on Game Us Mornings, talked up the tailgating. The food sounded so good. I'm probably end up going to Mike's. That's probably the right thing to do.
Is it Pennsylvania weirdly shaped because of racism, like the other states?
Most states are.
Like the other 49 states, yeah.
Our counties, our voting districts are very weirdly shaped because of racism. You might be thinking of that. Yeah. Although I guess I don't really. Yeah, what are the borders of the states? I suppose they're probably also shaped that way for reasons I'm not remembering.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, I don't know.
Like Virginia, West Virginia, definitely, yes.
Yeah, the one state was like, yeah, we give you this huge piece of land so we can like keep our slaves or some dumb shit like that.
Okay, yes, totally, yes, that definitely happened.
Like that type of deal.
Yes. Oklahoma is shaped the way it is because of racism. Fun.
Yeah.
The reason that
also you have like gerrymandering shit.
Yeah, gerrymandering. That's that. Yeah, right. That is the counties and the voting districts.
Yeah.
Yes, it's wild stuff.
You know, it's called that because there was a guy named Gary.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you just fucking with me? Because I believe you.
No. It's like it's the guy who like drew the map. Everyone's map. His name was something Gary. So everyone called it what is this? It looked like it's somewhere like some kind of gerrymander. And everyone laughed, and now we still call it gerrymandering. Now, yeah, it's an Elbridge Jerry.
Fair enough.
There you go.
If I get on a train at 2 a.m., I can get there by 3 p.m. That seems kind of late.
It seems like a really long time just to eat some food in a parking lot. Look,
Sean says it's a really long time just to avoid going to your house.
Wow, he's right.
Mike, I'm probably coming over, is what it looks like.
All right, good.
All right. I think we are. Yeah, I think we're good. I'll bring it back in.
Do you have the
Fuck
thread
no.
ready?
Give me a second.
Mm,
It's full time.
yeah, it's
Good job,
okay.
guys.
Full time.
okay,
Boom,
it's okay.
boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's see.
Gerrymandering. So that's the guy you gotta kill if you go back in time.
Yes.
Then you fix your country.
Yes. Sure. I'm sure no other racist person would have had that idea.
No. That'll never. That he was the only one.
We found the racist, everybody.
Oh, racist.
The seed of evil.
Dance and Mount Rushmore of Capcom games. I don't think that one quite fits. It says Mario Golf. Game Killer.
I got a feeling he's listening to our podcast while playing Mario Golf. I'm getting, I'm just getting that whiff, which is not a bad idea.
Oh, it's open. JD can't.
The Minish Cap would, a Nintendo game that made like Capcom.
Hey, don't worry, we'll get there.
Like how we'll get there.
It will get Chef confused.
I'm not confused by it. It's just worse than other Zelda games.
I watched you play. You seemed pretty confused.
I'm always confused, but that's not why I don't like it. I was confused when I played Link's Awakening. I love that game.
This crack world looks different from the other crack world. I don't
I don't have to put up with
understand.
this shit.
Capcom visual design. Let's go.
Link's Awakening is the second worst. Link's Awakening is the second worst.
Oh my god, get him out of here!
God.
God, I forgot he had access to that.
Did we just get like Baba Booeyed? What the fuck
we
just
just
happened
got
there?
Baba Booey, yes. All right, here we go.
Right, let's go.
And we're back, and it's time to do the Mount Rushmore of Capcom games. Mike, this was your idea. I thought it was a pretty good one. I'm ready to hop in there. We're going to do this in honor of Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out. Dragon's Dogma 2, probably not going to make it. It's too soon to put it on the Mount Rushmore. This is how it works. Although I really like that game.
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. I mean, it's great to do this with Capcom because I think Capcom, like aside from Nintendo, is like one of the greatest gaming developers / publishers ever. An incredible library over a very long time, generations and generations, right? Basically going back to almost the point of gaming being relevant. They kind of start out in the arcade, and then they really hit their stride in that NES era, being kind of, again, aside from Nintendo, the company putting out the most high quality games on that system.
Right. They are synonymous with gaming alongside those other companies in a really strong way for me. And synonymous with like the NES. Yes. And then the thing with Capcom is they just kept up. Every generation, they were right there making some of the best games every generation since then. And in ways that's like, over time, it took me a while to be like, oh man, Monster Hunter was this huge thing in Japan and then became a huge thing everywhere.
Right.
So they kept going and kept trying new things, and it usually worked. Not everything worked. They definitely had some like periods where it's like, hey, we're making Bionic Commando. We're going to make this 3D one or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that stuff didn't work. But Capcom, every generation has a game that stood out, usually multiple games. There's some obvious ones here. We'll probably get to those. Is there one that you think is like a fun one to start with where you want to go first?
I kind of want to almost start chronologically because I do think, again, they hit their stride in that NES era. They were I think it's Capcom, Konami, Nintendo in terms of people just making a ton of great games on that system.
Right.
And to me, the one that sort of stands out the most, even though I'm more of a Mega Man 3 guy, I think Mega Man 2 is kind of the Capcom NES game. The first Mega Man, and it's good. It's a little funky some places, and then this team, even though they weren't really allowed to, unless they did it sort of in their spare time, they put all this passion into this sequel. They released Mega Man 2, and it's just an all-timer, right? Just even though it visually looks so identical, plays so much better, all-time great soundtrack, just such a fun and whimsical and tough, but in a really rewarding way kind of game. It is maybe the most Capcom game to me still in a lot of ways. And Mega Man's their mascot. There's got to be some Mega Man love.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, listen, Mega Man's making this list. There's no question to me there. Yes, and I think Mega Man 2 is the right one. It's iconic. It's iconic, and it stands out among NES games. It's something where you immediately look at it, and it gives off good vibes, good memories, and great music, all that stuff. So yeah.
Whenever you tell somebody to make an NES sprite of a character, they will just kind of trace over the Mega Man sprite.
Exactly. Yes, they got it right away.
To it.
Yes.
Yeah, they killed it.
I'm curious. Like, you want to start it chronologically? Are there other Capcom NES games that you think have a good chance of making the list? I'm curious.
Probably not, just because it does get so incredibly crowded. Like, there's a part of me that would be like, man, DuckTales is so good, and as like an adaptation, and again, just the soundtrack. What incredible stuff there. But I think probably the next one I would go to, again, is kind of chronological thinking, has to be Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2 would be the one that, yes, if we're going in that, yes. Street Fighter 2 is another one where there's just no chance it doesn't make the list. Right. It is like potentially on the Mount Rushmore of video games, Street Fighter 2.
They were quote-unquote fighting games before this, but this really invented the genre. And I talked about how Mega Man 2 is like the substantial improvement over Mega Man 1. Like, Street Fighter 1 may as well not exist.
Yes,
Street
I mean,
it is such an improvement.
We've talked about this before. The biggest gap between a sequel and its predecessor. But in any genre, in any form of art ever, it is the biggest gap. You're right. It might as well not exist. And it kind of doesn't. Street Fighter 1 kind of doesn't exist. Street Fighter 2, however, is the template for an entire genre going forward for the rest of time. There's no way Street Fighter 2 doesn't make this. It is the thing. It was a cultural event. It got everyone into arcades. It defined arcade culture in a lot of ways. It wasn't just at arcades. It was at 7-Elevens and roller rinks. It was everywhere. Street Fighter 2 is definitely the next one I would have gone to.
And now, this is actually a little before Street Fighter 2. And I don't think it's a game yet. I'm not even sure if it makes it. But Final Fight should not be discounted.
Sure.
Again, there were beat-em-ups before Final Fight, and they were very much in that Double Dragon mold. Final Fight invented that very familiar beat-em-up format that I think we are all familiar with. That kind of leads into basically the Turtles games and Streets of Rage, right? There were maybe even more Final Fight knockoffs and Street Fighter 2 knockoffs in the arcades for a while. You kind of can't underestimate how important Final Fight was. The difference is that importance sort of waned after a while. The beat 'em up genre, although it's having a resurgence right now, did kind of go away, and Final Fight itself has sort of lost relevancy and is now kind of just background dressing for Street Fighter again.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely keep there. That's like the big arcade game from that time for them as well. I would, if we're going chronologically still, though, I think I go to Super Nintendo, and there's some great Capcom games, but I'm like already looking at the list getting pretty crowded, and I don't know how many of those actually make the cut for me, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think Street Fighter 2 almost kind of makes that
exactly.
for it. I mean, if it wasn't Mega Man 2, Mega Man X might be like the Mega Man representation. Mega Man X is fantastic. It's incredible. I think Mega Man 2 kind of speaks for that whole series.
And we are going to have that conversation a bunch of times because, I think we go to what's next here, and Resident Evil 2. These are games that both could make the list, and it's like, man, do even those two make it when we get to Resident Evil 4? I'm at least going to put them both here for consideration. But if you had to choose one, Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2, which one would you go with?
I think I picked the original. I know Resident Evil 2 is mostly considered a better game. It probably is, but it's close enough to me.
Yes.
I think you just give it to that first game. Again, invented a genre. And again, like very early on, like that's an early PlayStation game. And Capcom immediately had a huge hit early on when a lot of people were still trying to figure this whole 3D gaming thing out. And they made something that was a ton of fun and just incredibly memorable. And it immediately attracted a dozen copycats.
Yeah, and that's a very popular franchise right out of the gate, and they've been able to make it more popular over time. But it really does start with the first game being sort of, they did what they did with Street Fighter. They invented a genre, basically. Alone in the Dark was there, but Alone in the Dark did not start a genre for a reason. Resident Evil did. Any other games from this generation for Capcom you would want to include?
I mean, there's a lot of good
There's
games.
a lot of, yes, of course, there's a lot of good games. There's a lot of good games in the Super Nintendo and NES generation for sure.
Yeah, I guess I'm already starting to think about Monster Hunter at this point.
Yes, Monster Hunter is the one that's like going to be looming large. You know, I mean, do you want to have the Resident Evil 4 conversation right now then?
Yeah, that's rough because, like, boy, that could also be on there, and there's a lot of other great Capcom games from that era. My problem is, like, I don't know if we have 2 Resident Evil games on there.
Yeah,
and it's difficult because Resident Evil 1 is incredibly important, but so is Resident Evil 4.
Right, and in pretty different ways. Yeah,
and in different ways for sure. Gosh, that's difficult.
I mean, I'm gonna. So I got rid of Resident Evil 2. I'm going to Resident Evil 1, and I'm going to leave Resident Evil 4 up there. But yeah, so that for audio listeners, that has us at Mega Man 2, Street Fighter 2, Final Fight, Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 4. So we are already at 5 games. One of those is not going to make it. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be very tough for 2 Resident Evils to make it. Because we're in this generation now, since we're talking about Resident Evil 4, you know, there's Monster Hunter getting ready to happen. Devil May Cry is happening.
Devil May Cry, Okami, big deal. I know we're not the biggest fans, big deal. A bit before this, like the one other fighting game that I do think needs to be considered is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, yes, God.
Right?
Man.
It's just gosh, it's funny because it's like basically the 5th entry in the Versus series, but they just went so ridiculous with that. I mean, that X-Men cartoon right now, X-Men 97, there's so much, like, they're saying Marvel vs. Capcom 2 influence in that. This is still a game people think about constantly. I freaking loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. It was somehow like a lot in so many ways, just so many characters, so much going on, but also really accessible, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Like
it's overwhelming when you first approach it, definitely. But
yeah.
I don't know, they make it fun to learn it.
Yeah. They want to
And the
take you for
skill
a ride.
ceiling on that game is just incredible. This is
Right. At the very top.
Yeah.
So
I
deep.
yes, it's one of those games people are still playing to this day because of that very reason. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, again, Monster Hunter continues to loom large for me, where we start talking about these other games, and I'm like, I don't know how we get through this without putting Monster Hunter on there.
Which one, though?
I think it would be
Probably
World
World.
is my thing. I think that's when
World's the one I would put to.
You know, maybe that's like Westernism for me, but like, man, it really broke through here finally. And it's because I think they did kind of smooth out some of the rougher edges. I think the presentation was a lot better. Monster Hunter World just felt important, as you can say.
As Baclar would say. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, for me, I'm like, anything we add is going to have a hard time breaking through what we have right now. So do you want to just start throwing stuff out? Or we can keep going chronologically if you want.
Why don't we not throw anything out yet? Maybe we should see what the friendos are saying.
Oh, yeah, great idea. That's a good idea. Okay, let me get that set up.
Yeah. And there's like, you know, I can't immediately think of some other things. I know I'm like a little not as huge on Devil May Cry as some people.
Same.
But like, you know, that also kind of invented a genre with like that certain style of character action game that is still actually going pretty strong these days for sure. There's some that I think are fun games like Dead Rising, where I'm like, well, look at everything else we got here. Phoenix Wright, man. I forgot
Phoenix Wright for a second. Minish Cap, no, it's not going to make
no,
it.
Minish Cap's great.
Yep.
But, you know, man, gosh, I want to put like a statue of Phoenix Wright next to the Mount Rushmore. Right. So good. It's niche. It is, but it is like one of the best niches in all of video games, man. Love Phoenix Wright.
All right, we have the podcast producers chiming in. Let's start here with Turbo Sean, who drops a Marvel versus Capcom, I believe, right? Is that what this is?
Oh, you
I think
dumbass! That's just for the thread. It's just.
It's just
Oh,
fun
I'm sorry.
art.
Listen, it was a picture of a bunch of fighting game characters. I figured you'd want to chime in. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, actually, I didn't see.
Well, I guess technically they are all fighting game characters because of Marvel vs. Capcom.
No, there's a Palico.
Oh, there's Mr.
Nemesis.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nemesis.
I see
Yeah.
Armika for some reason.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Moving on.
Yeah, I
I
kind of
hope
just saw
they
her.
put
My bad.
For the 6.
All right, moving on. Alamera Cerveza Cristo says Capcom versus SNK 2. Yeah, like all these versus, like I think it's where we're going to be. The versus games are going to be represented by one. If anything.
This one does rip though. I was playing this like a year or so, the GameCube version. God, this game is very good. It is a very different flavor from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and it's a ton of fun. Love it.
Nick Turbo says Resident Evil 4. Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be weird if we have this list and it doesn't have Resident Evil 4 on it, but who knows where we're gonna end up. Bench JC says Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective.
Man, we played through this for the Game Club not too long ago, and it was maybe the least negative Game Club episode ever, just in terms of very few people had anything bad to say about the game. It is just delightful.
I need to play it.
It's very
make that
good.
happen. Jamie H. Christmas Eve says the Game Boy Color classic, The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons.
It's very good. That's definitely probably even though they're very similar, Seasons is better than Ages. I think most people agree.
Casual said Dead Rising. Yeah, I like that game a lot.
Oh yeah,
I like Dead Rising. You know, the one I played the most was Dead Rising 3 because it was an Xbox One launch game, and it was actually a very good launch game.
It's a good game. Yeah, there were actually some surprisingly good Xbox One launch games. I even liked Rise.
It was a good launch.
Yeah. Evo Janice said Mega Man 2. Yep.
Look at that.
That's good.
Man, I looked at this box so much as a kid in this cart. Look at I love it looks like it's Dr. Light for some reason hiding behind Crash Band, which doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
He's like gonna pants him.
I think you're right.
Klaus Raynor says Okami.
Yeah, drawing circles is hard though.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, I struggle with drawing a line. Two-time champ Beef Hammer says Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with artwork that looks pretty much indistinguishable from what Sean posted, but
no, God, this game was good. Man, Jill Valentine is so good in this game. I love she has that ultimate attack where it just a T mutant or whatever just like spawns from the ground, starts slashing away. It's so good. So good.
Yeah, I love the way this game looked.
Last year, speaking of Jill Valentine, last year somebody discovered like an infinite that nobody discovered until like last year. So
I remember that.
That was crazy.
Here's what I want in the next Resident Evil. I want Joe to have her beret again.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that beret.
He likes the beret. Raspberry beret. Bob Bobtro says Monster Hunter World. And that's definitely under consideration as we stand here today. B3 Bend 7 says Monster Hunter Freedom 2. Look, man, we're American. I'm sorry.
Pretty good. Freedom Unite is, I think, is better. Well, it's the same. It's just Freedom Unite is like the expansion version of it.
Right. That's like how the Pokemon games would have a third game. The Monster Hunter games would always have the expansion version. Basically, is that how that works?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Rebirth Wolf 5 says Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. This does feel like what would be your number 5, right, Mike?
Yeah, and like in terms of like games I like, it would be up there. But like,
sure,
and that Mount Rushmore-ness, I don't know if it quite speaks. It's so good though. God, I love Phoenix Wright.
Let's see. Joy Z says Steel Battalion. Is that really Capcom? I guess I do.
That was Capcom. Man. In fact, yep.
That's wild.
We walked by the Steel Battalion room at PAX East and we didn't go inside, but we did go to the classic gaming room and play Power Stone 2, which is still a banger.
Mike won every round. Game. Don't worry.
Thank you for telling everybody.
Yeah, no problem.
How good I was.
Yeah, this was true. Teriyaki Blues says Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening.
Yeah, that's the best of them. I think most people say, but people like 5 a lot also now.
I'm more of a DMC Devil May Cry guy.
Fuck you.
Always Be Clothing / Corgi says Boulder Punching the game, which is it's Resident Evil 5, right?
It says 5. This is the famous ending of 5, which takes place in a volcano, and you fight against Wesker, and he's going. It's a pretty cool final fight.
This level. Punching the boulder actually is fun.
Yeah, it was. That's great.
This game is not as bad as people make it look.
Not too many people think the game's bad. It is a lot.
It's disappointing compared to 4. That's all.
Resident Evil. I don't think it's a.
Well, I mean, it's a less Resident Evil than like 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, but overall, I don't think it's like a lesser.
I would still put it in the bottom half of Resident Evils because there's a lot of very good Resident Evil games, but it's a good game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Hot Evil Queen Eden says Dragon's Dogma 2. We will revisit this in 10 years and we'll see. I
had fun watching you play Dragon's Dogma 2 on Giant Bomb today. That's for sure.
Yes, there are going to be some memories from that game that people are probably going to have for the rest of their lives when it comes to like video game memories. So that makes it a strong candidate someday. Screaming Madden says Mega Man 2. Another good artwork there.
European box art is incredible, especially that big fish enemy from Bubble Man stage just looking like some kind of horror monster from
Black
the deep.
Dead Eyes. Yeah.
Love it.
Tommy Pencil says Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
This was the best one I played before playing World. This one was pretty good.
Let's see.
Rules.
Alex says, I think this is a Monster Hunter reference if I had to
Yeah,
guess.
Monster Hunter.
Yes.
It looks like a pickle.
Yeah, it looks like a pickle with spikes on its face and red stripes along its back. It looks like a Monster Hunter villain. So,
Yeah.
Monster Hunter villain. I love that you call them villains.
Yeah, well,
instead of
you know,
monsters.
monsters. Flobotron says Lost Planet Extreme Condition. Listen, there's part of me that desperately wants to go back to that era of Capcom games and play all of them. Last Planet and Dark Void and all that
I
bullshit.
said Last Planet.
Lost Planet.
Man, we should only play Lost Planet 3, the one people didn't like.
Sure, I'm down. Freedom McLiberty Balls says Resident Evil 4.
A remake specifically.
Oh,
though.
yeah, remake, sure,
And
yes.
if it was the 4 best Capcom games, I think absolutely this goes on here. Holy crap, it's good.
Dr. Ryan says Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, I played this game so much as a kid. Chippendale Rescue Rangers 2, very much a big banger also.
Input name here says The Misadventures of Tron Bonne.
Super fun. All the Legends games in general are great. I like this was one of my favorite rental games actually because it was not quite a mini game collection, but almost kind of like that. It wasn't like a full blown thing like in Mega Man Legends, but there's a lot of good
Should
stuff.
have bought
there.
it so you could sell it
When,
later.
When's Legends 2, Mike?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a bunch lately, Sean. I want to get to that hopefully at some point this year.
All right,
but now I
cool.
want to get like an actual copy of it, right? Since I got this
Good summer
retro
game,
thing.
I would say. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that'd be a
Things have slowed
great
down.
summer game.
Yeah.
Adam GC says Disney's Aladdin for the Super Nintendo.
Gross.
It's not a bad game, Mike. Come on.
Of course not. Of course not.
Leia by Nature says Okami, but also since it's relevant, I'm working on this. See, is this okay? Yeah, Street Fighter 2. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah, but no, she's working on it. That's her doing this cross stitching.
Whoa, really? That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm working on this. Look at that. That's awesome.
That's incredible. Wow, great work, Leia. This is fantastic.
That's awesome.
I want to learn how to cross stitch.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Beautiful Zoob says Beautiful Joe. Surprisingly,
Imagine that.
that's. What's your favorite of
finally
Capcom 5 that isn't Resident Evil 4?
Oh, I mean, it's Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, I finally beat that game for the first time last year or the year before, and it's still very good. Tons of fun. Still feels incredibly unique even now.
Oh yeah, you could. If this game dropped today on like Steam, it would be like a hit there for sure. Chaos Buckaroo says The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, a good game.
Now, I know it's not for you, but man, I do love this game. I think it's got some of the neater of the top-down Zelda dungeons, has really fun items in a great final boss fight. It's fun stuff.
Hammond of Texas says, if I can get my save off this older computer, I'll continue playing it.
Alright.
Hammond of Texas says 1942. Man,
This is like
yeah.
one of the first Capcom hits. This is from
I didn't
early
know.
arcade days.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did this. This
Yep.
game rules.
Dan Reichert in chat says Minish Cap is a 9.25 and Link's Awakening is an 8 at best.
Yeah, but Dan Reichert is a maniac, and that's wrong. Link's Awakening is unassailable. Mr. Bowler says Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, I think.
Miles Edgeworth
Yes.
rules. What a good character.
Adam Juice says
Fucking
Resident Evil 2.
This is the remake
Yeah,
again,
remake.
and that's a good game. I played through both routes of that during a Halloween time. It was a fantastic Halloween game. I mean, this was kind of the game that really cemented Resident Evil 7 a bit, but this was the game that really cemented Capcom's streak that is still going of just being very good. They are on an absolute heater right now, and this was a big part of it.
Mex says Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations.
This is the third one. This is the best one. This is kind of the finale of the original trilogy storyline. Incredible stuff. Incredible cases.
You like it because of the judge, I see.
No. She's only appears in a flashback. That's don't worry about her and her insane business casual cleavage.
Razzled Jazzled says Disney's DuckTales.
The moon theme is
Yeah.
that might be on the Mount Rushmore video game songs. God, that
It might
song
be.
is good.
It came on the other day when I was just listening to music, and I was just like, yeah, this is incredible stuff. Just fantastic.
Yeah. Gosh, I need that Disney Afternoon Collection on Switch so bad.
Just a failure, a dereliction of duty by John Drake over there.
Yeah, I agree.
Wiesman says a Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo HD remix.
I've been kind of surprised I find out recently how much people like Puzzle Fighter. It was never a big thing for me, and I think that's more of a me thing than anything else.
Yeah, I remember reading about it more than playing it. EGM, it like took over their offices, and I remember like every issue they'd be like, "Hey, we had to struggle to get the deadline because we were playing this all month." I'm like, Jesus, all right, well, I wish I could play that with somebody. Clink says Dragon's Dogma, the first one, Dark Arisen.
So weird. I never played the first one, and I kind of feel like I lost my chance forever.
I know I tried, and I just couldn't get into it. Lenny Cool Dick Denver says Mega Man X. Mike, every time I try Mega Man X, I don't think I get it. I think I need you to like sit down with me and like tell me why it's cool.
Yeah, I'll help you. But yeah, because it seems like a game you should.
It seems like a game I should like. Yes, I agree.
It is one where doing kind of a boss order in a sort of specific way is important. Like you definitely need to go to Chill Penguin first. Okay, yeah, I'll help you out through some Mega Man Xing for sure.
Brad Fish says Yo Noid.
I had Yo Noid and I loved Yo Noid.
That's incredible. I want to play all those the mascot games too. Cool Spot and Ronald McDonald and shit. Big Tony, the Final Fantasy guy, says Street Fighter 2, which you got no problems there. That's gonna make it.
I love this art of Blanca doing the Blanca ball.
Oh yes, so this is the one I had. This is
cool.
This is the copy I had, so I remember this art well.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Riz Racer's Mean Bean Machine says Resident Evil, the GameCube remake.
This I almost don't consider this because this almost kind of started an era of remakes and what that means and how high you can shoot for that. This version of this game is still gorgeous. It's incredible. What a fantastic remake.
We could do a Mount Rushmore of Capcom remakes.
We could.
Yes.
We honestly could.
And really, they've been defining what remakes have been from basically the beginning. That's right. Capcom really good at making video games. Turns out
they just are.
Doomino Crossing trying to cause me to go cross-eyed here. Puts the Street Fighter Swimsuit Special Collection with Chun-Li on here. I'm gonna just count that.
It should be up there. I think.
Haas says Mega Man 11. Big Mega Man 11 fan here. Where does Mega Man 11 fit in your Mega Man rankings?
Mega Man 11. Yeah,
he's back. Everybody, he's back.
Mega Man 11 is very good. Yeah, it's not Mount Rushmore worthy. It's like, excuse me. Yeah, no.
So only I'm supposed to be looking.
Weren't they making another one of those swimsuit specials?
I hope so.
They're all right, R2. Yes.
It's already 2?
Thank you, Sean.
Oh, yeah, guys, this was driving me crazy. I was trying to do a joke with this. Isn't there a picture floating out there somewhere of Tam reading a hardcover copy of that?
That's incredible. That
sounds familiar. Jeez.
Okay, if anyone listening, without letting him know that I'm looking for it, can find me that picture and send it my way, I'll be eternally grateful.
Hell yeah. All right. Octo says, give it up for Ace Attorney Cinematic Universe.
Oh, that's a fun group picture. I like that.
Spliff Blazinski drops Mega Man Zero Z.
No, Jeff, just Mega Man Zero.
Well, there's a big Z behind it, though, Mike.
Yeah, it's an aesthetic. It's
okay, so it's Mega Man Z0.
You're embarrassing me.
Crouching Boomer, Hidden Zoomer says The Little Mermaid / Darkwing Duck.
I never played that much of The Little Mermaid. Darkwing Duck rules. It's basically like a Mega Man game with a few differences, but it's very good at being that.
Bugadillo says God Hand. God, what a good game.
Never played God Hand, actually.
God, I think when I first got my Steam Deck, God Hand's one of those games I was like, oh, I'll just see if I can get this running, and I played way more of it than I ever intended to. It rules. Fudsex says Power Stone.
Yeah, give me 2 probably all day long, but it's very good.
They should make another Power Stone. What's going on?
Yeah, trust me. Oh, I know they should, or at least like remaster the first 2. Like give us that PSP collection on modern consoles for the love of God. Yeah.
Isaac Clark says Breath of Fire 4.
I played through Breath of Fire 4 on my Vita. I did enjoy it. The art is very good pixel art. I don't know if it's like one of my favorite PS1 JRPGs, but it's a good time.
Wong Gift says Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. Like a Dylan, Infinite Wealth says Lost Planet, Extreme Condition. Cryorsis says Monster Hunter World. We've been going for a while, and there actually haven't been that many repeats. Capcom goes deep.
Capcom goes deep, and it means a lot of different things to different people.
Yes. Then so Cryorsis said Monster Hunter World. Then Vision 49 says Resident Evil 7, Biohazard 7. Yeah. I'm too cowardly to play this one.
Yeah, I was for a long time. When I had to review Resident Evil Village, I just watched a long play of it because I knew Village was a direct sequel to this. So I see it all, and it is very impressive. And this game obviously did a lot to turn Resident Evil around after 6 was a bit of a disaster. They made a lot of smart decisions here. So yeah, very good game, very important game, and one I will build up the courage to play someday.
Succotash says Resident Evil 7. Vander Lyle says Capcom versus SNK 2, Mark of the Millennium,
Shout out to my
2001.
girl Maki.
Barf Spackle says Dead Rising. Right? Wait, no. Yes.
That's Dead Rising. Yeah,
yes,
he's covered
God.
Wars, you know.
Yeah, he covers Wars, you know. JD Camp says Age of Booty.
That's a pretty good picture.
That's a real good picture. Hey, Disposable Content says Flipnik Ultimate Pinball.
Oh, wow.
A Capcom classic. It's
I thought about that in a while.
It's a really good game. You thought about it a couple weeks ago when we played it, Mike. Together on GiantBomb.com. That's that triple paddle game is buried in there. That's Flipnik. That's a mini game in Flipnik.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we did not play the actual Flipnik part of Flipnik.
I was like, what?
We just played triple paddle. Yeah. Mitsurugi says Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition.
That was my favorite way to play the original Resident Evil for a long time. That version rules.
Adam says Phoenix Wright. Matt out in the rare wilds says Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It's gonna be it's weird to leave that game off. That's actually strange, but yeah,
it's just like the importance of it being not there. Like, like the game wasn't some giant hit. It got caught up on very much so, and like in the fighting game community, it is so important. But again, we have 4 slots here, and Street Fighter 2 has to be one of them.
Street Fighter 2 has to be on
I will take Third Strike over it any day, like preferentially. But man,
fun! What a good game!
All right, I'm curious to see you guess what game this is.
This is Mega Man. Because I sneezed. Sorry, but I said it.
Yeah, this is actually one of the zeros. I'm not sure exactly which one, even myself. But yeah, or Z0 as you like to say.
Zero.
Z. Yeah, there you go. This is a character from Mega Man Zero.
00. All right. Empanada Eater says Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah, I saw some other people say 3 on Twitter when I just said we were doing this. You know that, like, I'm like slightly downish on 3 just because 2 is like kind of my everything. 3 is still obviously very good and still thought of very fondly. It is a lot of people's fighting game. That is like the one for them.
Michael Riley says Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube. Z Yark says
that's Mega Man Legends.
I was gonna say this is Mega Man Legends. The graphics look like Mega Man Legends. That's the monkey that
saves your game for you.
Oh wow, let's go. I've never played Mega Man Legends, so Mega
Man Legends was great. Like I finally played through all of it just a couple years ago, and I was actually like the controls. Yeah, they're PlayStation 1 controls. I can get over that pretty quick. The charm and the aesthetics of the game hold up very well. Lot to like in that game.
Cascoder says Mega Man Powered Up.
I mean, I like Powered Up. I'm not a big fan of the like super big head chibi style of the game, but hey, it's Mega Man. It's fun.
Ed says, which Resident Evil is this 7?
Oh, that's gotta be 7. Look at what happened to this person's balls.
Yeah, they are. You got a condition there on your balls, son.
Oh, that's not balls, Mike.
Oh no.
Is that his dick?
Nope, that's the other thing.
Is that his sister?
There you go.
What a game. Tink says Breath of Fire. Yeah, from Squaresoft.
Breath of Fire 1 I haven't played, even though it's on NSO. I guess I could try it sometime.
Christian says Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Yes. Artwork.
So
all the artwork for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, end game, out of game, just the best. Just the best shit.
Yeah, and it took so long for a fighting game to like match the size of this roster. I think I don't know.
Oh, best character select screen in the world.
Oh God! You say the word character select screen, I think of that grid. Absolutely.
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
If we could all chip in to buy like a minute on the Sphere, this is what I put the character select screen on the Sphere.
So good.
Yeah.
Did I see that? That GOG paid to put Alpha Protocol on Times Square like today.
Did they really? That's hilarious.
That would rule something. Maybe I missed.
Congratulations to Matthew Rory.
Maybe.
Turbo Sean says Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That's probably the one I played the most, actually.
Right. Right, and if you want to say that instead of 2, I guess. But to me, you just say Street Fighter 2. I think people know. That's
Yeah, well, we can get away with a lot more by just saying Street Fighter 2. All right. Well, in that case, that is what we have so far. Mikey, any of the suggestions that you want to add?
Oh, there's a bunch I want to add, like Phoenix Wright, Third Strike, the Resident Evil 1 remake, even though there's already so many Resident Evils to consider. Gosh.
What are you looking for?
So many good Capcom games. I know what you're looking for over there. Yeah. I think we probably have the right short list to work off of, though.
Yeah, I think so,
no one said Dino Crisis. Some people in chat are. But, a lot of people talk about Dino Crisis. Nobody's brave enough to make that their one game.
Right, exactly. And that's where Dino Crisis just is. It's overshadowed.
I like Dino Crisis. I won't admit it. So then.
All right, so that means our short list is Mega Man 2, Street Fighter 2, Final Fight, Resident Evils 1 and 4, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Monster Hunter World. It's going to be tough, Mike. I don't think Final Fight stands a chance, which is a shame.
No, I don't think so. Again, it deserves credit.
Yes.
It's a bit forgotten these days, but it really did also create a genre, and it also kind of kept Street Fighter going a bit. That came up between Street Fighter 1 and 2. It was almost called Street Fighter 2, which is funny.
I am moving Mega Man 2 and Street Fighter 2 up as
absolute locks.
As absolute locks as the Mount Rushmore Capcom games, because of course they are. And then of course the Resident Evil game is going to be up there as well. Is it Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 4? Should we just put up Resident Evil 1? I think I'm kind of with you at the end of the day with Resident Evil 1. Listen, if we put up Resident Evil 4 and not Resident Evil 1, I would also be okay with that. If I am choosing one or the other, I think I also go with Resident Evil 1.
I think we go with 1. There's no 4 without 1 in this case. Resident Evil 1 is also incredible. They're both incredibly important. They're also both incredibly good. Maybe 4 is better, sure. But yeah, 1 did so much for gaming. And it's still fun. I played through all of the original 1 for the first time just a couple years ago, and I still had a great time with it.
Mike, that leaves us one spot for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Monster Hunter World. Probably not going to put Resident Evil 4 up there as well, right?
No, I mean, trust me, my heart, again, would be Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is one of my favorite games ever.
It's Monster Hunter World.
It's got to be Monster Hunter World.
It's got to be Monster Hunter World.
If you put Monster Hunter World up there and then you look at the 4 games we have, that really does encapsulate Capcom very well.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point as well.
Oh, see what you did there, because Capcom is capsule.
Oh, I didn't mean that. That's funny.
That's just
it encapsulates companies' games.
How did you also, when you were a kid, see Apollo 13 and then they said the words like Capcom? Because that's what they call the people on the radio, and we're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, my brain definitely did that, but I'm like, well, I assume that's got to mean something. So it's Capsule Command, right? Because that's what it actually stands for.
Yeah,
right.
incredible.
I had to go figure that out right away after that movie. I'm like, what are they talking about there? All right. So we have Mega Man 2, Street Fighter 2, Resident Evil, and Monster Hunter World up there. How do you feel about the order?
No, the order doesn't matter for Mount Rushmore, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's Mount Rushmore. True. Okay. That's right.
We're good.
I could just delete these numbers even. God, that's nice. Okay. Hey, yeah, that's right. Okay. So, Mike, read our Mount Rushmore while I post this online.
Yeah, our Mount Rushmore of Capcom games is Mega Man 2, Resident Evil, Street Fighter 2, and Monster Hunter World.
God, that's why I like Mount Rushmore. So we don't have to order them. God,
don't worry about it. We're done. The job's done.
All right. Yeah. I posted it. People can yell at us. And they should, but I think they're going to be wrong.
I think they should realize that, so Capcom just has a cornucopia of amazing games to pick from.
Yep, absolutely.
This is probably the most acceptable Mount Rushmore you have ever done.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it.
When we set out, I was like, in my head, this is pretty much what it looked like. I think I might have had Resident Evil 4 in there instead of 1, but yes, this looks right. Okay, that does it for the Mount Rushmore. I think we're going to take one more quick break, then we'll talk about what we've been playing right after this. For me, it's been a Capcom game. All right.
Minish Cap. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, let's get back into it.
All right, let's do it.
And we are back. And Mike, what have you been playing?
I have been playing that Dragon's Dogma 2, yeah. Just still feel pretty early in it, maybe 5-ish hours. definitely am enjoying it. Maybe like a little bit of like, I'm not like super in love with it yet. I almost like was the most in love with it watching you play it today, just because things got so wacky during that.
Listen, I play these games like a jackass, and I think you kind of need to bring some of that energy to it.
Maybe I do.
I do think that's part of this game is that I think a lot of people set out and they play RPGs in the way that they play RPGs, and I think you go into this game thinking it's an RPG, so I'm going to play it that way, and it's much more of a sandbox adventure game than it is even an RPG. So you kind of have to go with the flow a little bit and just try some stuff. Now, I think I lucked out by picking the thief class, a really, really fun vocation in the game. Like it like starts off fun, and then like the first upgrades you're getting for that character make it even better really fast. And then I think I had some really good pawns that have some really excellent abilities that make the battles look fun. So like, Wild Rose was just shooting fire constantly, and I was getting into that ass and doing some cool attacks, and Dark Mitch is yelling over the side, doing whatever he's doing. It's like it immediately turns into a good time, and then we'll just like try stuff. Like, let's just jump on the Griffin and see what happens. He's got way too much health, and then suddenly we're flying over the ocean, and then what happened. And so every time I play it, I like it more and more. I think I also like it that it's one of these games that's kind of, it's pretty common since the From Software days have kind of taken over of, we're just going to have our systems and we'll explain them, but we're not going to really help you understand them all that deeply. You kind of need to either mess around with them or ask somebody. There's no law against that. And so I'm playing it online. I'm asking you, I'm asking, Jan and Dan, I'm asking chat, I'm getting feedback. And that kind of like creates this fun loop where it's like, let's try this. Let's see if we can figure that out. Oh, I got to go talk to the innkeeper to put my stuff away. Yeah, it's a really basic thing, but now I know how to use it, and I'm using it all the time now. So I think having a systems-heavy game like this, and one that is pretty confident in its systems and kind of letting you just go out there and mess around with that stuff, it's my kind of thing. I really enjoy it, and I think they nail it for the most part. So I've really been enjoying it. I'm technically very early on still. I probably have played for about 5 hours now. But it doesn't feel like I've really scratched the surface. I am doing many of the early quests that everyone talks about. The culling the monsters. Everyone talks about that one. I haven't even gone and done the one where it's like, hey, go get these weapons that someone stole so you can open up these other vocations. Haven't even done that yet. So I'm still very early. I want to see like how the story opens up if it does. But part of me is like, even if the story doesn't turn into much, I'm already having these fun little tales that I can tell of my own misadventures with these characters. And so I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, and I do love that it does kind of feel like you have a full adventuring party, which is something that these kind of more open world RPGs maybe lack sometimes, right? They can kind of be very solitary affairs. And sometimes like that works to like the game's charm, like it does in a Skyrim, a Witcher, or an Elden Ring. But I do like that I do have these people. And maybe they're talking too much, but whatever. It's kind of fun. And I do like how they do things like they'll say, hey, look, I know where a treasure chest is. Do you want to follow me? And you can push a button and then they'll start leading you there. Or you could do things like throw an enemy off a cliff and then they'll be like, oh, that's neat. And then they'll start doing that. There's like some kind of learning system going on there. Again, like the game doesn't really explain that, right? You kind of like discover it. And I'm like, okay, like well, now I'm curious, like how far is that kind of thing going to go?
Yeah, it makes me want to try even more things and keep these pawns around. I like playing these games often solo, even apart from the AI companions, because a lot of times I am doing stuff like picking up pigs and throwing them, stuff that is, I don't need my NPCs around me questioning the morality of what my character's doing, because I am playing like a jackass, and that the game reminding me that I'm doing that is less fun for me. Here it's just like, hey, you're throwing shit, I'm gonna throw shit. that like encourages me to keep trying stuff to see what the NPCs are gonna learn. And then on top of that, it just kind of creates these wild scenarios. So, yeah, I am also having a good time just like watching other people play or seeing the clips online and seeing what's possible. And that also makes me want to go in there myself. But I think for people that are going in and expecting it to be one thing, or that, they just want a game to maybe be more buttoned up in a lot of ways, because that's, they're like, I spent a lot of money on this game, entertain me or whatever. I think that's a perfectly valid thing. And I don't know how good of a game this is at that. I don't know if it's going to have some epic tale that like it raptures people with characters that are worth caring about. My suspicion is it's probably actually not very good at that kind of stuff. And so I think if people are going in expecting that because of the way this game presents itself, I bet it's going to be maybe disappointing to that crowd. And I don't blame them.
I do think it's an ugly game. Like performance stuff, even aside, I don't really like the way the game looks. It's very like dirty medieval fantasy.
Yeah,
right? Like, this is how it really looked like back when people lived in towns and castles and huts and stuff. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'm not on that side of the spectrum, but I get what you're saying. I like the way it looks for the most part. I don't.
Yeah, but you're a dirty, filthy guy.
Yeah, that's right. I'm wearing Crocs right now, so who am I to say exactly?
I think it's okay. How the world looks, it looks okay. I really like the design of the armor and that kind of stuff. It looks cool, especially like the most expensive stuff that you can barely like afford because everything is like super expensive in this game for some reason. So I really like those designs.
I kind of like the things
people
are expensive. There's too many of these games where I just buy whatever the fuck I want because I have a zillion gold at all times.
Yeah.
Even in Persona 3 Reload, I have that problem. I have like all the money I could ever possibly need, but doing not much.
Right. I want the economy to be a system as well. And it only works that way if there are things I can't afford. They do talk early on about like pay attention to the prices because some things are worth more in other areas. So you can like make a lot of money by buying and selling. And God, I think for me, a personal Mount Rushmore of video game mechanics is the arbitrage selling in Sid Meier's Pirates. I think about that all the time and how I want that in games.
Mm-hmm.
They say that in this game. I have not experienced that myself yet. But who knows? Maybe I'll play it more and that'll be something that actually does pop up more frequently. I would like that if that were the case. And at the very least, what you said about things being more expensive, so that at least it makes me think about that. That's a good sign. But yeah, I think I like the way the enemies look. I think I like the design of the goblins, and the griffin looks fantastic. They all animate very well. I think the movement of the creatures is very good. So I don't think it's like ugly in that it's like low effort. I think it's just that aesthetic is going to be either your thing or not. I think for a lot of people. But
I guess I hope like eventually I come to like some town like, oh, I wasn't expecting something like this, or if it's just going to be.
I did just get to a town.
Cobblestone.
No, I got to a town that I think might be, kind of looked a little bit more like Greece or something like that.
Okay,
that'd be neat. I think you might be into that.
Maybe a good forum.
Yeah, it's like it was like built into
marble,
built into a mountainside sort of thing.
Okay,
I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I need to play a lot more of it, and that's what I intend to do. This is my game right now. If I go back to Rebirth, I'll go back to Rebirth after this. At this point, that's where I'm at. So, and then other than that, we were at PAX, so not a lot of time to play other things. Kind of been just like help my kids play some games here and there. That's where I've been at. How about you? Anything else?
I started Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun for the Game Club, and I was really enjoying it. My only problem with it is that like it's apparently a 10-hour game, and I played it for like 3 hours. And I'm kind of like, really? Like I'm a third of the way through this. It's it's a boomer shooter. It's great. I don't know, but how much
4.5 hours is kind of what I would expect. Yeah,
exactly. So we'll see. I'm a little worried that it's gonna feel kind of stretched thin there, but I do really like it. It's a very pretty game. It's very fun. It's funny because it looks like Quake, but it kind of feels like the Doom remake in terms of the pacing and stuff like that.
Sure, that makes sense. That's probably like where a lot of those boomer shooters are going to go. Because updating the mechanics a little bit probably wouldn't hurt. I did forget. I did spend some time with that South Park Snow Day game. Seems pretty bad.
Oh yeah,
seems rough.
Seems pretty bad.
I got a code for you if you want to play with us on UPF tomorrow.
Oh yeah, actually, remind me to start installing that when we're done.
Okay, I'll send that over to you. If I haven't already, I might have already done so.
That's that whole. I love how everyone's knee-jerk reaction is like, well, they must have done this without like Matt and Trey. It's like, no, they were on board.
I think based on watching that show a while ago, I think Matt and Trey just have questionable video game taste. I think that's just the case.
Well, because like they were so famously upset at like those 64 era games, and I think maybe a little too upset. Hey, we played Chef's Love Shack not too long ago, and that's a game I always feel like it's so terrible, and I'm like, this is kind of silly and fun. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. So it is. It's a shooter. I guess hero-based, class-based, I suppose.
The Marvel Rivals like.
It's a Marvel Rivals like, yeah.
Piece of shit.
It's got a single-player campaign sort of thing that you play. that is, I guess, 4 hours long. I didn't play much of that. I was like kind of waiting for the online sessions, and then I haven't done that yet. But I played through a little bit like the tutorial and just kind of got an idea for how it felt. And it's I don't know. It feels very basic. It feels fan made in a lot of ways. Insubstantial, and the humor is. Part of me was just assuming that this is like, hey, the South Park humor is not for me anymore. Which, when I watch the show, is how I feel about most episodes these days. So it's like, yeah, it's just that. But I think also it might just be poorly written. And, while Matt and Trey are there doing the voices, it's not like an inspired performance or something like that. I don't know. I don't know who this is for. It feels like them being like, we should make another game. Those RPGs take a long time. This will be easier. And it definitely comes across that way, where it's like, hey, less effort went into this game. But we'll play it on the site tomorrow. We're going to play it on Giant Bomb tomorrow, everybody. So tune in for that. Yeah. I don't know how long we're going to play it, because I want to play some other shit too. But yeah, we'll see.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Absolutely. I did also play that Outcast game, the 1990 release, 1999 release, like one of the first open world games. Because that the new one came out.
Right.
Dan talked about that on the Bombcast, and I'm curious about that. I'm going to play that. But then I was like trying to remember Outcast, because I was like, is that the voxel one? And they called it the voxel engine. I still don't know what that means, but I'm like, I need to figure out more. So I saw the Digital Foundry did a sponsored video about it. I watched that, and it just looks so weird. It's like the character's got this like slow trot animation where he kind of hops side to side as he runs forward. And he's got to like explore this whole open world. And I don't know, it just looked really weird. So I got it up and running on my PC. You can get the 1.1 version on Steam that they re-released in 2014. And it is a very strange thing. I kind of had a hard time understanding what I was supposed to be doing, but that's maybe what you should expect from maybe the first open world game on computers ever. All right, that does it for me though, Mike. Anything else?
No, I got some more super chats here.
Let's hit those and then we'll get out of here.
Mikey O'Leary says, just a PSA tonight for chat. If you have T-Mobile, you can get a free of MLB TV right now. Baseball fans, rise up. Yeah, opening day.
I'll get mine.
I don't have T-Mobile. I have to see if I'm actually able to watch the Guardians on TV this year. I haven't been able to forever because Bally Sports, whatever, just refused to make a deal with anybody. And they keep saying, we're developing our own app. And then they don't.
Amazon bought Bally Sports. So
right.
I would hope maybe Prime can get some of that stuff.
I would hope so. I'm going to Google that after this and see if I'm going to actually be able to watch like opening day and stuff. That would be nice. Steven S says, who would you hot dog eyes to turn into your bionic command arm?
What?
Al Gore.
Who would you hot dog eyes to turn into your bionic command arm? All right, fine. I'll just say it. I've been thinking about her now. Well, Chun-Li.
I would do Joseph Lieberman.
The 10 Derek says there's zero chance it makes it, but please at least say the words Ace Attorney so that I can trick myself into thinking it has a chance. It had a chance. I love Ace Attorney so much. Gosh, that's a special game. Look, I have my pillow back there. Here, I'll turn my camera. Objection. There you go. See, I like Ace Attorney. It's okay. I'm one of you.
Andrew on Twitter says all your Rushmores are so questionable. Good thing you guys put on a good show. This one feels like the most unassailable Mount Rushmore we've ever done. Andrew, I'm sorry.
I know. I was thinking like, oh, I understand. Like you're gonna have your favorites, but how can you like look? How can you look at these four and be like, that's bullshit? Like, come on.
Yeah. Go. Any other super chats?
Yeah. From Grug, I prefer Mega Man X over 2, but Jeff just turned 67 last week, so I can see 2 getting on set. Wait till you find out how old George Washington is. At this point, the age difference between Mega Man 2 and Mega Man X isn't all that much.
No, it's
right?
basically 1 year, basically.
It's not much. Moose Springsteen says, you guys have infected my brain. This is the first super chat. I was talking to my mom about a new show. I said, it's like Columbros. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Moose. Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Moose.
Chris Pratt says, I remember back in 1980. Yeah, Chris on. I remember back. Chris. No, I can do this. I remember back in 1986 when I was in the arcade stomping Koopas. That's how you know I'm one of you. BRB, gotta eat with my babe, Miyamoto. Man, Chris sounds so cool.
Chris sounds so cool. I do think about that story he told about doing laundry and seeing the Mario arcade machine. Like, man, if I had quarters, oh boy, would I play a video game? I'm like, Chris, it's okay. We get it. You're a hired actor.
He said one day I'm gonna play that. See, he said something about like playing the character Mario when he was looking at
Oh, is that what he meant?
arcade.
Yeah, that's what he meant, I'm sure.
That was crazy.
Oh boy. Chris Son's the best.
Are we allowed to say Son? Because I did my Final Fantasy 16 interview. And I wanted to talk with the composer Soken. I was talking to Yoshi P's Japanese, so I said Soken Son, and I was like, should I say Soken Son?
My understanding, it's just like saying Mr. Minotti.
That's what I assumed.
That's all that is. I think
that's literally what it is.
You're not allowed to say Soka-chan. Like that would be too intimate.
Or Soken-kun would be way too much.
Well, that'd be offensive because he's not younger than you, right? Yes.
Now, Chris Pratt said we're allowed to say...
That's Chan. That's Chan, Grubb.
Oh, Chan is the young one?
Chan is like younger, cuter.
Okay, which one's...
Chan is for girls?
Which one?
You use Chan for boys, too. It
you can use
younger.
Chan for boys, too.
What's kun then? I thought kun was for...
That is like your home... Like people your age, they kind of like mingle with. Sort of like your social.
Below you. Yeah, something below you in like the hierarchy or whatever.
You do it for lovers? Which one would you do kun for lovers?
That would be weird. It would be like if I was talking about you, Mike, in the context of Giant Bomb, I could call you like Mike Kun. You would be like, we're like on the same level.
Like homies.
Well, Chris Pratt said we can call him Chris Chan, so that's good.
Okay, so I think I was playing Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and I think it confused me because when he was talking to the girl, he called her, what's her name, Chan. But she is younger and she is cuter, so that definition now makes sense, Sean.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like you usually would use it for a girl, but it's like it's also it's like someone
right. He did, yeah. Because I think the reason I thought that it was actually the guy that turns out to be whatever. I'm not gonna spoil the game. But he's like, hey, you called me Chan, or like we're already friends. So I assumed that meant friend, but maybe he was because that character's also younger and it's cuter.
Japanese is very gendered, so like those terms usually apply to just one gender, but they technically can't use it. It's more of like what you would normally do.
Right.
Yeah, like a professor would call like a female student kun sometimes.
Okay.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shit. Okay, you learn something new every day. There you go. But yeah, the thing is, you could say San. In Shogun, they say Sama. Is that like the old?
Sama is super respectful, is my understanding.
Yeah, that's a very, very respectful.
Yeah, Sama is like a person you almost like revere.
Okay,
is how you'd use Sama.
Okay,
and if you like are like if they aren't, it would be like very sarcastic. If it was like your homie, you called them Sama.
Oh damn! All right.
Yes.
All right, good to know, Mikey. Do we get any other super chats? Are we good?
No, Grubb Sama.
Oh, I don't think that was sarcastic.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's hit the music, get us out of here. Mikey, what do you got going on?
It's Easter soon. I think I'm doing something with my family for that. But I don't know. I would like to play some more Dragon's Dogma. Victim's doing a lot with Persona 3, and that game's very, very good still. So continuing to kind of get to the end game on that. Once I beat that, then I will have a new nighttime game, and there's options there. I probably will play more Mario Golf first, but then maybe do Unicorn Overlord or Infinite Wealth, one of those.
A lot of games to play. Anything you're like next big release you're looking forward to after Dragon's Dogma?
I'm trying to think. Like I don't like I know Stellar Blade has a demo coming out, but like I don't know when that is. I don't know how excited I am for that. I'm
gonna play the demo. That's another demo. I'm gonna play that on UPF tomorrow. I'm gonna play that demo.
Yeah, I always did think like after Dragon's Dogma 2, at least for me, I think it slows down a bit, at least until like this summer I'll get the Elden Ring DLC and then the Final Fantasy 14 expansion like back to back, so that'll keep me busy. But maybe till then I finally have a little bit of a break here. We'll see.
I got some smaller games I'm looking forward to, like that Children of the Sun is coming out April 9th. I'll play that. I'll maybe make Bacalar play that Harold Halibut game he's interested in. I'll watch him play or something. Yeah. Is Iodine Chronicles 100 Heroes? Is that finally coming out?
It's coming out this year.
April 23rd. It's April 23rd.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be bad and I won't have to play it.
Yeah, Tales of Kinzera Zao is April 23rd. Another Crab's Treasure is April 25th. Yeah. I mean, it's like games like that where it's like, I'm going to check them out, especially if they're good, but I don't know. Oh, Hellblade 2 is May 21st. That's I'm not that interested.
I always forgot. I always assumed that was going to be a fall game. So when it wasn't, I was like, I had a lot of conceptions about that game being like some big fall game.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
$40 still, and it's coming out.
It's 8 hours.
In spring. I was like, oh, okay.
System Shock is coming to everything else May 21st.
I want to go and play more of that.
That'll be something I play this summer because I'm right there with you. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, May 23rd.
I'm getting excited for that. Actually, I am getting excited for that.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Thank you so much. June 18th, Blood.
Mike Minotti.
Lichdom Battle Maid.
Super Bowhill, most people are beating it right now.